Hi friends, welcome to week 2 of the Trauma Sensitive Yoga series. This week I'll be moving on my mat. You're more than welcome to join me on a mat or on the floor. If you prefer chair yoga, know that that will continue to be an option throughout our time together. You can always choose to sit in a chair, on a couch, something that feels comfortable and supportive to you. Note that you might have to change a couple ways that you're moving versus how I would be moving on the mat. So for example, if at any point I move into what is called a tabletop shape, you can access this on a chair by placing your hands on the chair and then walking back, and your knees will be lifted off of the ground. But if you'd prefer to move through shapes that we move through in tabletop, like cow shape, you can find that seated. It's the flexion and extension of your spine. And that's the beautiful thing about trauma sensitive yoga, is our focus is not around what these shapes look like, but noting how these shapes feel in our body and how we can connect to each space in our body. So if you decide to move through chair yoga on the weeks that I'm on the mat, and you're having a difficult time figuring out how can I move in similar ways or connect to similar places on my body as you are on the mat, you can always email me. A couple things I have over here, it's not required, but I find support can be helpful, and so I always like to add support into my practice. I have some blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can stack some books. You could grab pillows off of your bed. They'll probably be right around the same height. You can also have pillows in your practice. This is great to place under your feet when you're forward folding, or place under your glutes when you're seated. And something similar to that as well is a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you could roll up some blankets to emulate this shape. Before we get started, I just wanted to gently remind you that this is your time for you. There is not a right or wrong way to feel in our body. What's important here is that we're honest with ourselves. So if at any point you're experiencing discomfort, there's a couple ways we can move forward. One, we can begin to explore the difference between discomfort and pain. Sometimes if we're noticing tension in our body, we might feel a little discomfort when we're stretching or pulling, but that sensation is not going to be as, it's going to be softer, whereas pain is going to be more tense. So if at any point you feel any sharp shooting pain, anything like that, that's an indicator from your body that this shape does not feel safe. So I would invite you to move away from that shape and maybe pause the practice depending on how you feel after you move out of the shape. For discomfort, we can sit with discomfort as long as it's not moving us out of our window of tolerance. So again, if a stretch feels a little more tense than we expected it to, as long as it feels safe in our body, we can continue to explore that. We could bend our knee, we could back up a little bit, see if that changes things. Another option is if we begin to explore discomfort or we become uncomfortable with paying attention to a certain space on our body, we can use a tool called shift and stay. So to use this tool, you can shift to another space on your body. So for example, if I'm forward folding and I notice this becomes uncomfortable to the point where I don't want to be in the present moment anymore, I'm starting to pull out of this present moment, I can ask myself, hey Kierstin, what does the tip of your nose feel like right now? And even if I can't come up with an answer, I'm shifting my awareness to another space on my body that feels neutral. Maybe it's my fingertips. Maybe it's centering with my heartbeat or noticing my breath. If we need to shift completely away from sensations that we're feeling because we're becoming too uncomfortable with it, that is an option as well. What I would invite you to do is to make sure that you're staying present in the moment instead of pulling out of the moment. So I can begin to look around my space for particular colors, If you have any posters or signs or anything like that up, you could look for particular letters. I have a window right in front of me, so I might see if I catch a bird flying by or any butterflies, because this is all what's happening in this moment right here, right now. So with all of that being said, we'll begin to move into our mat practice. Similar to our chair practice, today we'll be focused on continuing to connect to interoception. So noticing the sensations we feel in our body, noticing if they're pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, and then beginning to explore, can I connect that to how I'm feeling emotionally in the moment? Interoception is a great tool to teach us how to stay within our window of tolerance, because we begin to notice when emotions and feelings are pulling us out of our window of tolerance as our body is telling us first. Sometimes it can be difficult to notice it, so the more time we spend noticing these sensations in moments when we're not activated, the easier it's going to be to notice that my shoulders are tensing up, my jaw is really tense, my face is getting hot, oh, I'm experiencing anger. Before it turns to explosive anger, now I know I can pause and create some space thanks to my body telling me, giving me those signs. And I can connect to a coping skill or explore different ways that I can bring myself back into my window of tolerance. So moving forward, I can respond instead of react. So we'll start with mindful movement, and then we'll move into a full body scan meditation. So with that being said, let's find a comfortable seat together. For today, I'm actually going to take my pillow and place it underneath me, at least to start. And a comfortable seat, again, we're not worried about what it looks like, what I'm doing. You're focused on your space. So maybe a comfortable seat is crossing at your ankles. You can extend your legs if that feels more comfortable for you. If it feels safe, I invite you to close down your eyes so you're not worried about what anybody else's shape looks like right now. And you become fully present in the moment and decide how you want to start seated. I'm going to bring a hand to my heart and the other towards my center. You might follow. You might decide to keep your hands grounded in your lap or beside you. But either way, connecting to this first bit of interoception, this first bit of support from our body. Acknowledging your heartbeat. If you're open to it, getting curious about your breath. Does it feel warm or cool? Shallow or deep?